Hello, welcome back to another episode of Charla Football. I'm your host, as always, Gerardo. And today I have some special guests with me. I got Coach Martinez, Diego, and Carlos, the guys from PUBFOOTY. Thank you for hopping on. We're going to be talking CONCACAF Nations League since it's only a few days away. I'm really excited for this episode. How are you guys feeling? Thank you for hopping on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us. Yeah, we're excited. It's
It's
the
a
most
pleasure.
it's the most color we've had, I think, in a podcast. So I think we're all geared up for Nations League.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, definitely I gotta rep Costa Rica on this CONCACAF pod. Um, Obviously they're not in it, but I'll rep for this.
No worries.
Yep.
Now,
Yep, same. Excited to be here with everybody to get everyone's ideas and get to know each other.
John just thrifted that shirt, by the way. It looks pretty fresh.
really?
Yeah, it looks
$20,
good.
$20.
I'm happy you didn't wear it last weekend though. That would have been ruined by today.
I know.
$20 on a thrift is crazy.
$20. It a little bit, but it had the tag on. It was still brand new. I'm like, nothing on it. Looked like no one wore it before.
It's clean.
I'll take it.
I just wanted to just throw the question already out there. Who do you guys think has the most pressure looking at this Nations League? I mean, we're going to the Final Four. We got USA versus Panama and then Mexico versus Canada. So out of those four, who do you guys feel has the most pressure on their shoulders?
Gotta be USA. Gotta be USA for a few reasons. One, I think because they've won the last three, right? So you have this expectation now to win. Greg has done his job. He's won the last three. Pochettino comes in. On paper, I don't want to get outcasted right away from the people on this pod, but on paper, USA has the best squad, right?
Yeah.
So if you're on paper, they have the best squad. You've won the last three. Pochettino's a big name. He has to deliver. He has to deliver, and they have to win. So I think for me, based on those facts, I think USA has the biggest kind of a weight on their shoulders to win and go through.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. That's actually what I wrote down. I thought that if Berhalter can do it, Pochettino has to do it. There's no
Literally.
Actually, I mean, you got players like Pulisic, McKennie. Some of them are going through better spells this season than in seasons prior. So you got some of your best players going through their best moments in their career at the moment. So you have to like ride that wave pretty much if you're Pochettino, if you're the USA.
Yeah, I'd
Go
say
ahead.
this is the most informed the Americans have been going into a tournament. With now a coach that's more tactical.
Mhm.
So the expectation has to be to win. Obviously, they're hosting, so they're not playing World Cup qualifiers and all these other tournaments that help them prep, for the World Cup coming in. So this is their one of few tests, and they need to pass it, or else the media is going to crucify them.
I agree. I did say USA, right? If I'm thinking about it, but I'm also thinking about Mexico's pressure and the pressure of not winning enough in the last couple of years and bringing back Aguirre for his third stint.
Mhm.
So that's huge. Third time's a charm, but not winning enough. The fans, I don't think the fans are happy. They haven't been playing too well in these major tournaments, and they haven't won one yet.
Yeah.
So not winning one, not winning enough. Managers are coming and going. The fans aren't happy. You do have guys who are in Europe who are playing well. Raul Jimenez, Santi Jimenez, and then you have a few other guys that can come in and make a difference. So I think the pressure for me in that aspect, I'm gonna give it to Mexico. USA has their big names, but I think Mexico, with everything else going around in the federation, with fans and players, I think that pressure is big time.
Yeah, especially when you compare the media. I don't think the U.S. media will kill Pochettino as hard as the Mexican media will kill Aguirre if they do not make it to the final, if they do not win the whole competition.
Yep.
I mean, especially like you consider, or when you think of Mexico, you consider them the powerhouse CONCACAF. I know in recent years, I mean, USA has kind of been holding on to that title. But, I mean, in Mexico's mindset and most of Mexican culture, they still see themselves as like the kings of CONCACAF. So if you are the so-called king of CONCACAF, you have to deliver in this tournament. There's no ifs, ands, or but about it. You have to do it.
Gee, how do you feel about when because Canada's it's a tough matchup, right? Canada won't be an easy matchup for Mexico. I think it's a massive disadvantage because not only do they play a tougher team in the US, they play second. And I feel like they obviously always play second, right? Because Mexico is going to have more fans. It'll be a 7:30 game local, right? So Mexico always has the primetime slot. And I think with USA playing first, they already know if USA wins or not, right? Let's say USA wins. Boom. It adds another layer of pressure for Mexico because now they know they have to win. They have to advance. Just say if they don't advance or if they don't win, how do you feel the media would be on Aguirre?
No, they're gonna murder him. Like I said, like, it's very simple. I mean, going like, bro. Okay, you're telling me
even if they play well, you're saying, like, what if they play well and it'll be like a Atletico double penalty kick and whatever. They don't go through on some bullshit. What do you
of
think?
course, the forms always matter. The forms always matter, but at the end of the day, I mean, Mexico have to go through it. In the media, regardless if you play well or not, you need to get the result. The result is what is que manda. Is that's what they say?
Yeah.
Like media is que manda. The result is the most important thing, more than playing pretty football or if you play ugly football. It doesn't really matter. Like you need to be able to get that result. So I think the media will definitely be very harsh if they do not make it. If they're in the third place match against either Panama or the States, I don't know who it will be, but yeah, especially if USA make it to the final and Mexico do not get to that round, then yeah, it's gonna be. I'm not saying that they're gonna fire him or let him go or anything like that because they just hired him. They have a project set, but I mean they're gonna be definitely talking down on the manager and the players especially.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is massive pressure, I think, on both ends. Who has the most? I mean, obviously it's up for debate, but I mean, I think we could all agree. I think Mexico and USA are going to go through. I think. I don't know.
Well, we'll go on to the predictions.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
In a bit. I just wanted to ask regarding Canada and Panama. Like, do you guys think they feel any pressure? I mean, we already know. I guess everybody sees the ideal final as Mexico versus USA, but Canada and Panama are no teams to be taken lightly. I mean, Panama's already eliminated USA in the Copa America. Canada, the recent friendly against Mexico, it was a 0-0, and I mean, overall, Canada has competed very well against all the teams in CONCACAF. I think they are possibly one of the dark horses to even make the final if Mexico are not on it on that day. So, do you guys think both of those teams have any potential to make to the final? Do they have any pressure?
I mean, they made it right to the Copa America semis, right? So I think out of all the CONCACAF teams, they were the most informed, at least last summer, if you're just comparing Copa America. But go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, at least about Panama, I think Panama's in that golden generation of players where it's probably the best roster that they've had in a long time. And now with a coach that kind of has them tactically set defensively, I think they have a chance to surprise the U.S. I mean, out of 10 games, maybe the U.S. win 9 out of 10, but in a 90-minute game, Panama sitting back in their defensive shade and spring out on corners, I think there's a chance that they can surprise them, especially with this golden generation of players they have.
Especially if Timothy Wade doesn't get a red. If he gets a red card, Panama's going.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, they've already beat them in Copa America. Copa America is a bigger tournament than the Nations League, so if they can do it in Copa America, they can do it.
Yeah, let's hope he learned his lesson. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about Canada, John?
Canada, I think Jesse March has a lot to prove. He seems like the type of guy who gets behind his team and gets behind his players. So I know in the locker room, most likely they're going. There's the bar set high. He wants guys to perform. This is a big, big tournament for them, especially with guys like Davies. Who's the other guy from?
Jonathan David.
Jonathan
David. So they have two superstars on that team that can deliver these games for them. And I think for Canada, this is a big, big, big game because you beat Mexico, and guess what? You're in the final, and it doesn't matter who you play. You get through Mexico, and you have a chance for some silverware. Which Jesse March, I think he's going for it.
I think if there was any like golden opportunity to take this tournament, it's this version of Mexico and this version of the USA. Both teams that are in transition, new managers. I mean, both Jesse Marsh and Thomas Christensen have been in charge for longer periods than Javier Aguirre and Mauricio Pochettino. So they have already that chemistry with the team. They have their ideology, their tactics already set up and instilled within the brain of these players. Like I said, if there's any golden opportunity for them to get the job done, it's in this window.
Yeah, I think with Canada, I think like Johnny mentioned, I think Jesse Marsh has a good grip of the locker room. He's a very motivating person. You've seen that through his time at Red Bull Salzburg, and the team in Germany. So I feel like he has that Canadian team where he embraces being an underdog, and he makes the game ugly for people. Like in Copa America, every game they played was fairly ugly, and then they would just find their goals here and there. The game against Argentina, obviously they played Argentina, but it was still, I was there, and they made it ugly for them, right? Like Argentina made it through, but I think at the end of the day, Marsh embraces being an underdog. He knows Mexico is on their heels a bit. He senses that pressure. And also, I put in my notes, SoFi has a smaller field, right, than most other fields. I think they're like width wise, they're 5 yards in, length wise, they're 5 yards in. So I think if you're a team like Canada and Panama, who are probably going to sit back and make the game ugly, it benefits those two teams. Costa Rica, you saw that game against Brazil in Copa America, right? It was at SoFi. It was an ugly game. They pulled out the draw. So I think the field might play a huge advantage for these underdogs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I guess from a Panamanian perspective, not only do they have a new coach, but their main players, Coco Carrasquilla, I think he plays for Pumas.
Yeah.
He's the key of that midfield. If he balls
He's
out,
nice.
he's nice.
He's a good footballer.
Terrorized Costa Rica's midfield, and is the reason why they beat Costa Rica in the quarterfinals. So if he finds space in between the midfielders like he typically does somehow, and plays forward, there's a chance. There's a chance there.
Oh, yeah, Panama definitely have some ballers, and Coco Carrasquilla is the one that always stands out on top, especially when he puts on the national team colors. He's always balling out for Panama. I completely Now,
for sure.
Let's get into the predictions real quick. I know it's a little early. We don't know the lineups, or we know the roster, so we know what players we can possibly have an idea what the lineups will be. But I want to get your guys' ideas on your early predictions for the semifinal clashes. So let's start with Mexico versus Canada. Who do you guys think goes through? What's the score?
Tough. We're gonna get outcasted from the fans on this pod. It's gonna be an ugly game, man. Do they go to overtime and penalties, or they go straight to penalties?
I think they probably go straight to penalties. I don't know if you go to overtime.
So that's even worse, right?
Yeah.
That's even worse.
I was feeling like a draw.
That's what I'm saying.
Like a tie.
Mexico, Canada, it might be an ugly game, maybe a 1-0 game, or they go to PKs, and then you never know, right? You would put the advantage on Mexico. I think Mexico has the better shooters, probably better goalkeeper, but I think it might go to PKs.
Oh wow!
And then you never know.
Ooh.
Is Santi Jimenez injured, or is he playing this weekend?
He should be playing. I don't think he's injured.
They got some goal scorers for both teams. 0-0. I mean, I don't.
If it goes to PKs, I mean, they have Raul Jimenez, one of the best PK takers. I think the best PK taker in the Premier League at the moment. So
he's in form, like a madman. He's in form. So that's what I'm saying. It ending in 0-0.
So maybe not a one.
Just because like you said, it's going to be kind of like a dirty. It's going to be an ugly game. That's why we're going to say it's 0-0. I can see like a 2-1. I see these big names scoring.
Yeah.
So like Santi Jimenez, if he plays, I think he can get one. Jonathan Davids as well can get one.
Yeah.
These guys. So I think that's kind of the feel I'm getting. I think they're gonna go for it. They're gonna try. So I don't like the 0-0. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I feel it's going to be an exciting game. It's not going to be the most prettiest soccer we've ever seen, but I see at one point a 1-1 game, and then either it goes to overtime, or I think Mexico, with the fans rocking out at SoFi, catch a late one and the stadium erupts like in the last 10 minutes of the game. So it's going to be a close game. It's going to be, I think, the most exciting game to watch out of the two games this weekend.
I don't know how Mexico lines up on their like right and left back, but do you think that they're going to be able to contain Canada on the counter, because they got some fast players? I forget what the white dude's name is, but he's lightning fast, and obviously they have Davies. So
Schaffelberg, no, the one that plays right wing, is it Schaffelberg?
I think so. Yeah.
Is he MLS guy?
He does. I think he plays for Nashville.
Nashville, right?
Yeah,
that's what I thought too.
He's a tricky player, man, and he's quick. So that's what I'm saying. Most likely, either I feel like Canada in the first couple of minutes they'll press, right? Jesse likes to press. Then as the game goes on, they might sit back a little bit and they might try to catch you guys on the counter. You think the right and left back of Mexico's can handle that?
It will be difficult. On the right, I see Huescas being able to compete with Davies, but he's not at the same level as Alphonso Davies. We know that, especially in Davies right now, he's in form as well. He just scored in the Champions League not so long ago. So
yeah,
it'll be difficult, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to leave him all alone. That's why I could also see them not playing. Maybe I think they could go like with a 3 at the back. That's what I have as my predicted lineup, and I'll probably put that out within the next few days on social media.
Yeah,
but I think they'll probably go with a 3 at the back, trying to just take care of the defensive structure of the team first, and then focus on the attack. Because on the attack, we have pieces that can definitely hurt Canada, but it's just defensively sometimes it could be shaky, especially on the right and left backs as well.
Yeah.
But will they be able to contain both Davies and Schaffelberg? I think Schaffelberg, yes. Davies will be a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me that's kind of my keys to watch, right? And also, does Mexico have enough football to break Canada down if Canada decides to start sitting back a little bit?
Yeah, we saw in their last friendly there was no football being played. It was the only reason Mexico and Canada, or really Mexico, drew against Canada was because they were playing just horror football, just going tackles. It was a very sloppy match. I mean, there was fouls. I don't even know how many fouls were called in the match itself. But I think we're going to get something similar. I do think it's going to be a tight game as well. I went for a 2-1 as well. For Mexico, of course, there's a little bit of bias in there because I want to see my team go through.
Yeah.
Of course.
But realistically, I mean, Mexico does have a lot of star power, especially up front. I mean, Vega's in the form of his life at Toluca, and I think he's going to translate that into the national team, hopefully. We got Huerta, who's done pretty well on the right wing with Anderlecht. He also plays off of the left. And then both Santi and Raul, some of the hottest commodities in football right now.
Do they play? Will they play with a two strikers, Raul and Santi, or is it going to be one or the other?
I think it's going to be one or the other. Who's going to start? I'm not sure. Realistically, I think it will probably be Raul Jimenez, since he just scored against the U.S. not so long ago. He just scored at the weekend as well. Santi, I don't want to say he's been in a dip of form. I think just Milan have been pretty atrocious in Serie A, so it doesn't really help that. The team isn't doing that well, and they're not giving him the proper tools so that he can score goals like he was doing at Feyenoord. But yeah, I think if there's someone that you can rely on, for sure, it's Raul Jimenez. So for sure, I think they'll go with one striker.
Got it.
Do you agree that would you want Raul to start, or? Yeah,
I prefer Raul only because it depends on the game, right? But I think you need someone that's going to be able to hold onto the ball, get you out of pressure. And I think Raul Jimenez does a lot more on the ball than Santi does. Santi is very good behind the defenders with a little bit of space. He can hold up the ball, but not as well as Raul Jimenez does. Because Raul Jimenez is able to link up play very like nobody in the Mexican national team can do, pretty much.
Yeah.
Has
you tried? Or go ahead, John.
No, like you said, you mentioned, you wanted the defensive shape, right? You think Mexico is going to be more focused on their defensive shape, right? And I think with Jimenez, that makes sense, right? Him being up there, him getting behind the ball in terms of being defensively coordinated with everyone else. And then when you do win the ball, you spring it to him and he's able to hold the ball.
Yeah.
So I think so then you also mentioned the defensive shape and you wanting Jimenez there. That makes sense as well.
Yes, sir. Now, moving over to USA versus Panama. Who do you guys think wins, and what's the score for this game?
Go first, Carlos.
He's eager.
I see Panama being a surprise, but at the same time, if I'm betting this game, I'm betting the US win by 2-3 goals.
Yeah.
I think they're in the best form of their life. They're gonna come out and show out for the United States and for Pochettino. I think it's I think I mentioned it earlier, is the best coach that I think they've ever had. So with a little bit of guidance from their manager and the form that they're in, I think it shouldn't be a tough game for them. I don't think it should be, because especially how all the Americans in Europe are balling right now. And especially just the camaraderie they have playing for the national team. They love playing for the U.S. national team. They're all boys. And at the end of the day, that translates to the field. So I don't think they should struggle, to be fair. So I'd say 3-1.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah, that sounds about right. I think for me, what I'm looking forward to seeing is who's going to play the 9. I think Josh Sargent will probably take the 9 spot, or at least for the first game. Probably Weah and Pulisic will be on the wings. Also looking at the midfield as well, because Jonas Musa got put on the roster as a forward. So
I was confused by that.
So I thought that was really interesting. Right before it was Musa, Adams, McKinney. Now I think we're going to see Adams, Cardoso, McKinney. And I know Johnny loves Johnny Cardoso. I don't know if you want to say a few words about Johnny Cardoso, Johnny.
No, Johnny Cardoso has been insane in La Liga. His ability to play the 6, play in that hole, and just retain the ball, advance it, get in defensively. I think he brings a little bit of more quality in that middle third area for them, and then actually going forward and coming back defensively. So, like Diego said, Johnny Cardoso is probably one of my favorite players in terms of U.S. ball, along with Tyler Adams, just because he's an absolute dog in the midfield. So that's why I think 3-1 as well for me. Just gonna put that out there really quick.
That's why I think the midfield is going to be too much for Panama to handle because of the Cardoso, McKinney, Adams middle. So I think it might be. I think USA is going to have possession. They're going to ball. They're going to play. So yeah, they should be able to find 2 to 3 goals. Again, unless you get another a red card, I don't think it should be too much of an issue for the US.
That'd be nuts.
I had it in my notes as well, 3-1. I just think it was quality. So I love that we're all thinking alike. That
we're locked in. We're here.
IQ, we all have it. I don't have it.
Yeah,
man. I'm hoping Josh Sargent pulls a good game. Man, he's having such a good season in the championship right now in the UK, and I just feel like he needs to take that next step. And with Balogun being hurt, Pepe being hurt, it's his moment to shine, right? It's his spot to really lose in these next 2 games, and he deserves it, man. He deserves the way he's been playing. So I hope he takes advantage of it.
How many goals does he have in the championship? I know he's been scoring like crazy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would have to look it up.
It's probably double digits.
He's beasting, man. He's beasting.
Yeah, easy. Yeah,
and he was injured too at the beginning of the season, right? I remember he had came back from injury and then just started slotting in goals again.
He's good, man. He's good. He's real comfortable in the championship too. He's like one of those players that he's been there for a while. He just knows it now.
Loves the championship.
12 goals, 5 assists in 23 matches in the championship. And the championship's a tough league to play for.
Right.
So I mean, if you do it there, it's impressive as well. Even though it's
you should be able to do it against Panama for sure if he does that.
That's fair. That's fair. So
now, what will it mean for these 4 teams to win the CONCACAF Nations League? What will it mean for Mexico, Canada, USA, Panama if they were to win the CONCACAF Nations League? For Mexico, I said that they get to get that thorn out of their hand. You know, it's like that weight, that pressure off of your shoulders. That like, okay, finally, like we were able to win this competition because it's just been failure after failure every single year. So I think it's a needed competition for them. They've won everything in CONCACAF that there is to win except this competition. So I think, for me, I think that's what it means for Mexico. But what about the others?
I mean, I'd say for Canada, it's just they if they win it, it's just them announcing themselves to the world. You know, they've been close to winning the Gold Cup a few times, close to winning, all these UNCAF and all these other CONCACAF cups that are going around. It's just them announcing themselves to the world. Everyone thinks of CONCACAF. Everyone thinks of USA, Mexico, Costa Rica, now Canada. And Panama is not really talked about as much. So if they win this, the world's going to hear about it.
Yeah, I think for Panama, it's just glory. Like, just beautiful, fun. You know, they're going to enjoy the moment. No one's really expecting them to win anything. You know, just one of those things. For Canada, you kind of make a name for yourself in the CONCACAF. You're here. You're ready to do things on the Jesse March. And we shouldn't be taken lightly. For Mexico, I totally agree with you. Like, the whole world is just that weight is gone, and now you could turn a new chapter, a fresh page with Aguirre, his 3rd stint. Rafa Marquez is also on the coaching staff. We can forget about the past. Here we go, brand new start, and we keep working towards the World Cup.
Yeah.
And USA, you just plant your flag as the CONCACAF kings. Yeah. As of recently, you just plant your flag there and you stick your chest out, and we're the big dogs here.
Yeah, 4 in a row, right? 4 in a row would be huge for the US. Yeah, I mean, again, look, the World Cup's next year, right? So there's not many more opportunities that these teams are going to get to really play official games, play games with pressure on their shoulders. So everybody, especially the 3 hosts, they need to take advantage of it, because at the end of the day, like, you want to put your best foot forward when you're hosting, right? And USA, right, on paper, they have one of the best teams they've ever had, period. And now they have one of the best coaches they've ever had. So for them, I think they really need to take care of business, right? Like, it needs to be head down, no distractions, do what you need to do to get the results so you can feel your best by next year. Same with Mexico, same with Canada, right? I think everyone's trying to just find momentum for next year, and obviously winning the Nations League, you build off that for next summer.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens in the coming days. I'm really excited. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for hopping on.
Yeah, really appreciate you having us on the show. Yep. Hopefully we have more of these. Again, happy to talk Nations League, happy to talk U.S. men's national team. Me and Johnny are Ecuadorian, so we're massive on I was going to say Libertadores again. On Conmebol eliminatorias. So happy to be on the show, man. And yeah.
Or even Champions League footy too, if you guys want to talk about
Champions League footy.
Yeah, definitely.
Down, man.
Yeah, dude. Anything football.
And happy to have you on our show as well. So hopefully we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. Thank you, PUBFOOTY, for hopping on. Make sure you guys, I'll put the link to their description down in the bio. Make sure you guys check them out. Check all the platform links as well. Make sure you subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one.